MC has come. We will begin speaking the glories of Srila Gurudev.
Jai Ho.
Without further ado.
Is there Tasmai Sri Gurudeva Namaha. Gurudeva Gurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Bhuta Karamayena Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Mahavandanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah. Namashesha Manoapi Sachi Putramatra Srupam Rupam Tasrupajuru Maturam Gosnavatim Radha Kundam Gidivaram Aho Radhika Madhavasam Bhakta Sri Gurun Tam Natosmi Bhakta Bahina Aparada Laksha Chijastakam Tadamati Kripa Maitram Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vrindam Om Vrindaya Tulsi Devaya Priyaye Kesavasacha Krishna Bhakti Prajadevi Sachavachaya Namo Namaha Panchakalpa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Offer my Dandavat pranams millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of my Guru Padma, Divine Grace, Ashtotara Satasisi Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, on this most glorious of occasion of his Divine Appearance Day, 2021, and on this year being his 100th anniversary centennial celebration here in New Braj. Now, beginning on Wednesday, and then Thursday, yesterday, the Appearance Day, and continuing today, hearing so much wonderful, inspiring, enthusiastic, heartfelt Hari Katha in his honor and glorification. I offer my Dandavat pranams to him time and time again. I also offer my humble Dandavat pranams in the same way unto my beloved Shiksha Gurus, beginning with His Divine Grace Ashtotara Satasisi Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and unto the lotus feet of Divine Grace Ashtotara Satasisi Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Trivikram Maharaj, and His Divine Grace Ashtotara Satasisi Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, to the lotus feet of His Divine Grace Ashtotara Satasisi Srimad Srila Bhakti began Bharti Maharaj, and unto the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, and unto the lotus feet of Divine Grace our Param Gurudev, Ashtotar Santa Srimad Srila Bhakti Pradhan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and to our whole Rupanuga Guru Varga, this unbroken line of disciplic succession coming from Lord Sri Krishna himself. I offer my respectful obeisance to our Judanti Sannyas Gan, beginning with Sripad Bhaktivedanta Padmanabha Maharaj, and all of our sannyasis worldwide who are helping, organizing, preaching, and performing this same festival all over the world, and also unto all those devotees of Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada in our line who are also performing this festival in so many places simultaneously, and unto all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis gathered here today, guests, friends, and residents of this new Braj Dham. Also offer my respects to this new Braj Dham itself. I was just thinking today how auspicious this place is. This new Braj Dham, this holy tirtha. So why not also offer our repeated Dandavat Pranams unto this sacred place that Srila Gurudev established for us to practice bhakti and to invite people to come and take up this process. We always need to remember very strongly, this place is not ours. It's not for us in the way of material conception. Oh, what a beautiful place to live up in the mountains, secluded, free from so many things in the towns and villages. But this conception Srila Gurudev brought is a worldwide conception. It's not limited to one place in time, one place in space. It's unlimited. It moves all around. What is the meaning of Braj? Anybody know the meaning of Braj? Huh?
Always moving.
Always moving. Always moving. So this new Braj is always moving also. By the mercy of Srila Gurudev. Every year he would come and he would move us, certainly. Isn't it true? He would move us to do so many things. We would be like just going crazy for 1 month before Gurudev would come, then 3 weeks, then 2 weeks, then 1 week, then a countdown of days as he would come. We would be moving around like ants, you know, in chains, in lines, doing so many different Hare Krishna things to prepare for Srila Gurudev's arrival. This is the nature of Braj. Krishna could go to so many places, and one day we would hear, oh, Krishna was here on Braj Mandal Parikram, oh, he was there. So many places coming and going, and we wonder, how's it possible? We've been on Braj Mandal Parikram, and we can walk all day and just go a very short distance, isn't it? So how was Krishna 1 minute, you know, in this place, and then later on in the day, he was in so many different places. And Gurudev once gave the conception, is the Dham. It can expand, and it can also contract, according to Krishna's sweet will and desire. Krishna simply desires, and then Yoga Maya Purnamasi Devi, she facilitates. So Krishna can perform so many wonderful leelas all in one day. That's part of his program. That's Astakali Leela. Krishna coming and going, doing so many different things at different times. So Srila Gurudev brought this conception here to New Braj. So we should see it like that. Also, always moving. Sometimes we could go and do Harinam. We can distribute books. We can go to do house programs, Namahata, in the towns and villages. We invite people to come here. So we should always keep this conception of always moving, always serving, always relishing this service of New Braj that Srila Gurudev came to give. Not just here, but everywhere. Everywhere that Gurudev went, he created this mood of Braj. He created this mood that wherever you are, this should be Braj. Wherever a pure devotee goes, he brings Braj with him. It's described in Upadeshamrita that Rupa Goswami, he explains that Tan Nam Rup, says you should always be in Braj. And if you cannot be in Braj physically, then you should be there by mind. So, how can we be in Braj? What is our best way to be in Braj when we're not there physically? Hearing, through chanting, through serving, we create this beautiful mood. But even better yet than this is serving the pure devotee, the pure Vaishnava, who can give us Braj. Because they say, wherever the pure devotee goes, he brings Braj with him. This is the conception that is so sweet, so relishable, that we can't even begin to fathom. But carried within the heart of the pure devotee, carried within the heart of the pure devotee is Sri Vrindavan. Many times Gurudev would say, oh, this place is just like Vrindavan. And some devotees would question that, oh, how can that be possible? How can this be just like Vrindavan? But if one understands this conception that wherever Sri Guru, Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga goes, this is Vrindavan. Better to be with them in the most hellish, unholy place than to be in Braj Dham by yourself without being under guidance. Under guidance of the pure Vaishnava, this is the way to get Braj. So Gurudev explained many times, oh, there's so many Babajis and so many traps that you can fall in. You should never go to the Dham without being under guidance. And so, why did we follow Gurudev? Why did we go everywhere with him? Because he brought Braj with him. And especially in this place, he said, New Braj. In the beginning, when Gurudev heard the name, Badger, right? And the way Gurudev said Badger, he would go Badger. And then one day he was going Badger, Badger, Braja. Braja. So it became New Braja. New Braja. And ironically, just to give in brief the history, many years ago, when we were first here, after some time we were all meeting and gathering and having so many nice programs and festivals in the different homes of the devotees. One of them being here, one at Govardhan, but Mahi Bharta's house and other places. We decided it's time New Braj, or at that time Badger, we should create an identity. We should have a name. So we all thought, okay, we put it up like, okay, everyone think of a name, and then we'll put it to a vote. So we had a few different names come up, and like Mandaladam, where's Nietzsche? People might remember all the different names of Manju. But one name that we put forward was New Braj Bhumi. And one was, I believe, Chaitanya Mangala. There were a few others. And we all voted, and New Braj Bhumi was chosen to be the name. So it was kind of like so this community, we had this name, New Braj. Madhavisa Prabhu was also here, and he liked to say, oh, New Braj. And we all liked that name. We were very happy with it. And when Gurudev came, but, devotees were coming, and they would say Badger. But then when Gurudev was saying it, Badger, 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 Braja, he brought that conception, and in a sense, he initiated us into Braja, New Braja.
Actually, his pronunciation was not Badger like we Americans.
Badger.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
His pronunciation of the word Badger was not like our American pronunciation, where we say ah. But Gurudev pronounced it Badger, Badger. So Braja, almost the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in that sweet and affectionate way, Gurudev initiated this community into this name. Even though it had that name, he made it real. And for many years, like people would continue to call it Badger, and I would tell everyone, no, you should call it New Braj. We want this to stick. When you're thinking about coming here, you should think, I'm coming to New Braj. Don't think you're coming to Badger. And it caught on. Many devotees were doing, but some weren't. And one day I went to Gurudev. I said, oh, Gurudev, some people are calling it Badger. It's better if they say New Braj. And he goes, yes, they should. And if they don't, we will find them. So, this is the conception, and I feel very fortunate to be here under the guidance of Srila Gurudev in this new Braj in Vrindavan Dham. Gurudev many times would say he would come here to the festival, and he would come to Giriraj Govardhan, and after the festival, he would say, oh, it is so beautiful here. He goes, but next year, I want it more beautiful. He would never let us be complacent, like, oh, he always wanted more. He taught us to know the need to always continue service. Service has, what is the result of service, of seva?
More service.
More service. So he installed that conception within us that we must continue in this way. So today we're continuing, as I said earlier, with more speakers. We'll have a nice crowd, and more will be coming, and we'll give everyone a chance to speak.
What time are we going to?
Huh?
What time are we going to?
We're going to go till 2 o'clock to give everybody a chance. So first, I would like to call on Gaur Hari Prabhu to please come and glorify Srila Gurudev. He's our master gardener, a long time sevak here in New Braj, doing so many different wonderful services.
Kirtaniya and deep scholar searching for nectar. Okay.
The peg broke. And then his internal mission later, he in Jagannath Puri, it's very intimate pastime there, and for very subtle reasons, most wretched. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada also, he had the same criterion. He came, and where did he go? He went to the lowest of the low, into the Bowery. The most wretched persons were there, and this Tompkins Square Park, and so these persons he thought were fit candidates for this unprecedented jewel that he was distributing. And just like a math teacher, he can only teach his student according to his qualification. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami spent so much time teaching how to do simple calculations, fundamentals. And then with the same mood of Nityananda Prabhu, of giving the most valuable to one and all without discrimination, Srila Gurudevas came And he said some persons may understand. And so he is giving this full spectrum of what is the highest yoga. He is giving over and over in his Katha, and engraving in the annals of time by putting in publishing all these granthas for persons for many generations to also be able to receive this unprecedentedly pure message through the lotus conduit that is Sri Guru, Kandu Guru. I am not so much comfortable speaking, so I just wanted to try to do the bare minimum of an aspiring disciple. When the opportunity arises to offer a praise to the Guru, it is our duty to do so. I am aspiring to do one drop. So we have very degenerated condition of Kali Yuga we are in, and the higher teachings have become very covered over. What is yoga? What is the goal of yoga? All these things, they're so confused and polluted in modern times. Persons, what is considered the high conception is that by most schools, one does his various yogas and he achieves mystical powers and he has all the opulences if you do this yoga, that yoga. And then Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, all these things you should try and have. And then eventually you will become satisfied or disinterested, and then you can cease to be individual and merge into the Brahmanda. So for most persons, this is the highest conception. Brahma Gyan, Brahma Nirvisheshavad, merging into the Brahman, annihilating the self, the individuality. So for most persons, this is all the highest conception. They think, oh, this is topmost. But our teachings coming through this line, descending from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually descending all the way from Sri Krishna himself. He is instructed to Brahma, he is instructed to Narada, he is instructed to Vyasadeva, all the way down. And in this glorious line, so many exalted personalities are coming. And Sri Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, his glories are endless. His Pranam Mancha, Sri Krishna Lila Kantane Sudaksham. His Srila Bharati Maharaj describes that they have, each of these personalities, they have a specialty. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, one of his specialties was he was very expert in describing Krishna Lila, making it so sweet. And he said, for us to be able to really approach and taste what he is giving, we need to understand what is that process. What is Vaidhi Bhakti? What is Rag Bhakti? What is Rag Marg? What is Rag? Rag, the spontaneous devotion and affection for Sri Krishna. That is the mood of the Brajavasis in Golok. We can see one very beautiful example when Brahma tried to play some trick and is taking the boys. And Sri Krishna is manifesting himself into all the boys and cows, and without understanding why, all the mothers and fathers, all the cows and to their calves, just the level of affection was just so much deeper, and they were experiencing such spontaneous desire to give love and affection to their children. So this is Rag Marg. This is the mood of these personalities, to follow in the line of this mood, this spontaneous devotion. So, although it becomes even more refined, what is the mood of Srila Rupa Goswami? They all Rupanugas are Raganugas, but not all Raganugas are Rupanugas. So what is this specific specialty of Srila Rupa Goswami? This is the Vaidhi Bhakti path, and we see Srila Haridas Thakur, he was fixed 300,000 names daily, like this. But Srila Rupa Goswami, sometimes he'd be under this tree, sometimes he would be struck in trance for many hours, days, not doing all these regulations and such, but engaging in this manasa seva, in his siddha, in his true identity of Srila Rupa Manjari, serving Radha Krishna Jugal in so many intimate ways. So this particular mood is very, very, very high. And this line coming down is giving this particular kind of mood. So Srila Gurudev has taken much time to make very clear what is the prayojan, what is the goal, what is the very fine goal of Palyadasihood, of sheltered maidservant. This pure praying is descending from that Dham, from the Lotus realm of Sri Vaikuntha Dham, through the heart of these personalities. And so Sri Gurudev, through his heart, was actually able to give this mood, this praying, to persons who are qualified. I had some kind of fortune to be in the association, in the peripheral. I feel like I was in front, but not able to really be so present. My personal experiences was seeing in the distance, and some participation was there, but as far as having real capacity and opportunity to really interact with Srila Gurudev, only very few times were there. One of the more prominent, there was one play, one person played a big demon, and very big hair, very red. And I also, for some time, had such a personality, and to be able to be near persons who are close to these personalities and serving these personalities, and doing so much bhajana kriya, doing so much bhakti they are doing like this. So my good fortune is I can be near, and maybe sometimes to do some small service and pray to Sri Guru that even though I'm amongst the most lowly and fallen, our Acharyas say this is the fit candidate for what they are giving. So my prayer is that we can make an example of their unprecedented mercy by engaging me in service to their lotus feet and making my life auspicious and successful. And by the blessings of the Vaishnavas, then all things are possible. And so today I'm offering my unlimited Shashtan Dandavats unto the lotus feet of Sri Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj on his most auspicious centennial appearance day. And to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, and by Sri Bhaktivedanta Padmanabha Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Hari. we are calling on Gauravani Devidasi to please speak 2 words. I heard you spoke at Srila Gurudev's disappearance. Oh, now it's my turn. Thank you, Maharaj.
I didn't prepare anything. Unfortunately, I didn't have very much Sukriti when Gurudev was here, so it was very hard for me to listen, but I tried, even at such a young age. When Gurudev came, we were all very young and just so grateful that he came, and just all of our parents, you know, Krishna came more alive in our lives when Gurudev came, and even as children, like all of us, we got initiated and wanted to chant rounds, and we wanted to be better for Gurudev, and it was really sweet. We all wanted to chant, and we never really felt like that before. And Gurudev coming for the festivals was the highlight of our lives. Just so many of our friends coming and getting together, and the kirtans. Oh, we're just, a couple times the kirtans were so amazing that it would start raining and the sun would be out, and it would just feel so auspicious, and just those times were the best times of our life. And I wish that we still had that. I mean, we try, it's not the same without Gurudev, but it's just amazing that you can see everybody speaking and how everybody just wants to be a bit better for Gurudev, and they just, it's so hard in Kali Yuga, and so many things are taking our minds away from it, but it's still in our hearts. We think of Gurudev and we just want to be good for him. And I pray that I can get some Sukriti. Whenever I do want to try and be Krishna conscious, I don't really think of Krishna, I think of Gurudev, and I remember his beautiful hands and his feet and the way that he would laugh and move his whole body, and I just, when I chant, I just really try to think of Gurudev, and it's the only thing that ever really makes me feel. I mean, when I think of Krishna, I don't really feel anything, but when I think of Gurudev, he just has a space in all of our hearts that's so special, and I hope that one day we can all feel that again. I know we're supposed to feel like Gurudev's always there, it's hard, but I hope externally something like that will happen in our lives again, because it made all of us feel so alive and want to do more, and yeah, I miss that feeling. So I pay obeisances to Srila Gurudev, and I'm so thankful to have all of you here.
Thank you, Gauravani. That was wonderful, and you'll be a regular now. So now we would like to call on our dear Hamsagati Prabhu to please come give some glorification. He's doing such nice service here in New Braj, and always recording everything so it can be shared with others around the world.
They were asking for it today too. Omagyanatimarandasya Ganantina Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namaste. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhika Priyatmane Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Iti Namne. By Krishna's grace, Lord Chaitanya appeared and brought out the Dham, Vrindavan Dham, which had long disappeared under overgrowth and maybe other reasons. So Lord Chaitanya came to Vrindavan and displayed his ecstatic moods in love of Krishna and deeply pining for association of Krishna and his dearmost Radharani and the associates and all the devotees who are seeking Krishna. And Krishna says to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they come to me. And so our Gurudev and Gurudev came to teach us to worship Krishna and to learn to love him by constantly chanting the names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A very nice simple mantra. We release the mind from all the hang-ups we have in the material world and hopes and aspirations for temporary well-being. But Gurudev and pure devotees, especially great acharyas like Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada and the line of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, they are guiding us, prodding us into hearing and chanting and serving, and don't waste a moment and do as much as they would guide us. Gurudev told me, I couldn't understand something philosophical. He said, chant more and you'll understand everything. A little personal rasa. I met Srila Gurudev on the street in Calcutta and he looked so beautiful and effulgent. It was almost like, and then he had to go inside and I went on my way to get a truck, pick up a van. So I never forgot that. Many years later I heard Padmanabha Maharaj, at that time Urukunam Prabhu, was now traveling with Srila Gurudev, and I felt, wow, that's wonderful. And I was trapped in samsara in different manners, so I had to wait a while to get that mercy. So we were all rescued from despondency. We were unhappy in having no real captain at the ship of the Hare Krishna movement. There was a rudder, but it was flopping here and there. It wasn't always going the right way, not always keeping a steady path against the waves. And then captain of the ship, Srila Gurudev, came into America. And people who came here I was living in Portland at that time, and there were devotees who came down and they said, you come too? And I thought, I can't stay a whole week, I can't afford it, believe it or not. So somehow I just had to meditate there on Srila Gurudev and the devotees in Badger. And when I'm here, I'm astounded at how much purification Srila Gurudev has given the Vaishnavas, the devotees, the kids, my God, brothers and sisters, and their children who now are our parents. And they got so much blissful demeanor from getting the mercy of Srila Gurudev's kind words, his teachings, his affectionate glances, his description of reality of Radha and Krishna and the gopis, and Gopi Janna Balaba, Girivardhari, Giriraj. These are things we've heard from our Srila Prabhupada, and he wanted us to remember it, and Srila Gurudev made sure that the next generation would hear, and that we ourselves would try to revive some of that, the feelings we had under the leadership of ISKCON. Prabhupada said, where there is chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, that is ISKCON. And I was happy to hear Srila Gurudev said that exactly. He said, I am also ISKCON, because we're Krishna conscious and we're all over the world. So we are ISKCON, International Society. I want all the devotees here to know that I thank the world of them and appreciate very much the opportunity to get some sadhana in, to have a chance to do some bhakti sadhana and join in the bliss. Happy times, even when they're good or bad, they're happy times with memories of the path of bhakti that has been given to us by these great acharyas. And above all, too, I think, is we now are able to appreciate all devotees, and especially great devotees who exist in this world and can speak Krishna with love, priti. They shower their droplets of nectar on us. And that's a new Braj established for that purpose by Srila Gurudev. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hamsakati Prabhu. Now, we would like to call on Yuvani Devidasi to come and please speak some glorification of Gurudev. We're very thankful and happy to have her good husband Anadi Prabhu and her and their son Nimai. They've moved to New Braj here, and they purchased this property next door, which has created a beautiful home for them and has added an amazing layer of protection for New Braj and the continued growth of New Braj. So we're so happy to have their association and have them part of the New Braj family here.
First of all, I'd like to offer my unlimited obeisances to my spiritual masters, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharti Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. May I always be in your association. I'm not going to cry. I don't know what words I could possibly say to describe to the personality who saved me from myself. He was that person who I had been searching for my whole entire life. Since I was a baby in my crib. And he never gave up on me. I was really unfortunate to have come to the association of this Sangha a year too late to be in his association physically. But being with you all is how he shows himself to me. So actually, without you, I am actually nothing. I'm absolutely nothing without you. And, you know, I'm such a stubborn, independent, rebel type personality, activist. And slowly, he just began to mold me and shape me and melt all these horrible hardness in my heart. And somehow, by his causeless mercy, I don't know how or why, he brought me here against my will. I did not want to come here, as you know. I was terrified. And Nanda Gopal had to trick my mind. It's like, you're not moving here, don't worry. You're just coming for a couple weeks, that's it. I'm like, okay, just 2 weeks, a month, that's it. But Srila Gurudev knew that if I came here for just 2 weeks or a month, I would fall in love with New Braj and all the devotees here. And every day I fall deeper and deeper in love. And I actually lost, you know, I lost my material family, pretty much everybody. They just rejected me, you know. It was extremely painful. But I grew up, you know, in casinos. I grew up with meat everywhere, and alcohol and drugs, and I couldn't see at the time, you know, like losing them. It's like your family, you know. But what they had in store for me was something so much more beautiful and amazing than my material family could ever offer me. And instead, I got traded this spiritual family. And what words can I possibly say for that? What he's done for my life, you know, I mean, just 6, 7, 8 months I've been here, and what he's done to me just in a short time. I just want to surrender myself completely unto his lotus feet. I just want him to take me and just use me, all of me, just to completely just make me his puppet. I will do anything for him because I know how much love he has for me and my best interests. And nobody could do that but the mercy of the Vaishnavas. I mean, the Vaishnavas are just everything. They're everything. And every day they show me more and more. If you surrender, that's the purpose. I mean, Sharanagati. And my free will has like got me in trouble my whole entire life. I've been here for so many lifetimes because of my free will, doing whatever I want. And what has it done for me? It's just gotten me more entangled in this mess, sinking, drowning deeper into this ocean. And they threw out this lifeline, and even sometimes I don't want to grab it, you know, but slowly, I'm just like, wait a second, if I grab it, then they'll save me, actually, you know? And that's what they're doing. So what else could I do but offer my life and my service to them? So I just pray that more and more every day I can just surrender and just be used completely. I just want to be used. Because I know whatever they do with me and use me for is really for my benefit also. And I thank you all so much for accepting me and my family. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you for coming here. We appreciate it very much.
And so I will just do the best I can to be, you know, in the service of you all. And that the two words actually that keep coming to mind when I pray to Srila Gurudev, you know, when I just say, Gurudev, just help me get out of my way. Just let me get out of the way. You just tell me what to do. You know, and they never give up. They never give up on us, you know. And to follow instruction, and that's how I can show my love. And you know, it's just so I'll just try to continue to follow instruction and do what's best for my bhakti, and accept what's favorable for bhakti and reject what's not favorable. And only from their causeless mercy am I able to do that. There's no way I could do it without their mercy. It's just it's literally impossible. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dee. Now we would like to call on Atulananda Prabhu. Please glorify Gurudev. Thank you for coming. You always come up. You always bring so many nice gifts and do so much service. We really appreciate having you.
Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Thanks, Nandagopal, for calling on me to speak. I just want to offer my obeisances to everyone here and pray for your mercy as well as Gurudev's mercy. It's actually hard for me to speak in front of all of you, especially Maharaj and the senior devotees who I know very well have given their whole lives or from the point of meeting their guru, especially Prabhupada's disciples who gave everything, you know, from day one, most of them, many of them. And the sacrifices that all of you made really puts my life into perspective. And in reality, I can't really say I'm a disciple of Gurudev, although he accepted me. I'm still trying to give myself to him. I'd like at least today to remember some of the things that he said and you know, his glories. If I could just remember a few. I didn't really have too many personal interactions with Gurudev. I heard about him in 2006 and actually came to Badger and met him for the first time here a year later. And I was, before that, somewhat familiar with ISKCON, with Srila Prabhupada a little bit. I had read a little bit of the Sri Upanishad when I was young, maybe 12 years old. And then 10 years later, I met devotees who were Gurudev's disciples. And was quite attracted because I knew about Krishna. I had heard of Vishnu and the avatars being all one, different manifestations of Vishnu, and was starting to understand that with Gurudev was giving something completely different. You know, just from a scholar perspective, it was just knowledge, very dry. But I really liked Gurudev's disciples, you know, just these few that I met, and then coming to Badger, I saw Gurudev and I saw him walking here, and you know, I didn't really know what to expect so much, but I had gone to an ISKCON temple and I thought, wow, this kirtan was really amazing, and it was actually, you know, I felt something very transcendental in the kirtan. I did notice that once I mentioned Narayan Maharaj's name, though, things changed quite a bit. So that was my first taste of religious institutions in, you know, from the East, and you know, kind of continued my feeling from
my life that I didn't really like so much churches and religious institutions. They weren't, I love the books, I love the stories, but I didn't like maybe the political side of these things. But Gurudev was completely different, and even though I was very shy, I could see his power, you know, his grace and his walk, and I was immediately attracted to him. And the more I got to know him, I started to understand his nature. Although he was very powerful, he was very humble. And really learning about his life, his whole life was service. I mean, everything he did, all of his actions, everything that anyone really ever told me about him was his service. You know, his glory is what, even as a child, he was serving Ramayana. He was memorized the Ramayana at the age of, I think, 7 or 9 years old, and was giving class as just a young child. He also served society. He was a Dharma person. He was married, children. He was a very powerful and authentic policeman. He was known, I think, in the whole region of Bihar and beyond as the best and most truthful and honest policeman. And they would take him, you know, they'd request for him to go to places beyond his village in his area to find criminals and to solve cases. And then, like Gurudev described Srila Prabhupada, you know, his apparent advancing in Krishna consciousness is actually Yoga Maya, although Prabhupada is an eternal, you know, associate of Krishna. He seems to go through the stages of bhakti, and that's an arrangement of Yoga Maya. It's not that Srila Prabhupada was in Maya or lusty or any of these things. So we know also the same for Gurudev. And he also gave the example of, you know, the perfect disciple, because he had everything. He had the love of his family and his village, all of his relatives. He was very well situated materially, but he gave it all up and went almost immediately to join the Gaudiya Math, which was in a whole other region of India. A whole other language was being spoken there. And, you know, he was, I'm sure all of you know all these stories, but it's nice to hear him again and repeat. You know, and he was so loved that even his village came, so many people, and dragged him back. And Param Gurudev said he could go, but again he came. And so that's the one thing, you know, I would like to aspire to just remember Gurudev and the things he said. One thing that always stands out for me, and then someone repeated that yesterday, was he said he's offering a basket of jewels, but hardly anyone is taking. And I always remember that because, you know, I feel like that's me, but I know that he's still offering that basket of jewels. And so that's the, you know, the eternal optimism. You know, they say, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was famous for saying the environment is always favorable for bhakti. And, you know, so in that thought, in that meditation, I see that Gurudev is really giving everything. And, you know, another thing Gurudev said was that I'm your only friend. And I think that's kind of hard. I've shared that a little bit with some people. I think for a lot of people that's hard to digest, but I think I've found it to be very true. But at the same time, you know, Gurudev is all of our friends. And so we can take solace in Gurudev's disciples and in Sangha. And especially when we get together like this, Gurudev is so much more present. You know, he's always present with his disciples, but in the Sankirtan, you know, in the Sangha, I feel Gurudev coming out in myself and everybody. And, you know, there's so much Gurudev gave. I had a little association with him for a few years before he appeared to disappear from this planet. I really wish I could have had more time with him. And I just thought, you know, I encountered him, he seemed so vibrant and healthy and young, and, you know, it was 2007. It was very, you know, I did not imagine he would leave, and so I feel like I wasted those, you know, 3 years that we were on the planet together. And my Gurudev always says, do not waste time. That's his instruction for all of us. And I know I continue to waste time, but I want to remember, that this opportunity, the human birth, sadhu sangha, all of these opportunities, they're in a way limited. Like Prahlad Maharaj says, youth is wasted on playing, and early adulthood is wasted on sex life, and middle age is wasted, on gaining wealth, and old age, you're so sick. So yeah, I'd like to just remind myself that. And another thing, Gurudev said also, of course, don't be hopeless, but he also said don't be weak. And I think that's two sides of one coin, because we really have the power. Gurudev is giving the power, Radharani is giving the power. So in a way, there's no real excuses. We have unlimited excuses at our resources, but the power is much stronger. The Shakti that's coming from Guru, from Radharani, from Krishna, from the Parampara. So I with myself, I'm praying to Gurudev today to take away all my anarthas. And so there are no more excuses for seva. And Gurudev said our relationship is based on seva. So I pray to all of you that we can serve, that I can serve you and Guru and Krishna and humanity together.
Thank you, Prabhu. Now, we're calling on our dear Ramananda Roy Prabhu. Huh? Who? Should be. Then you're on deck, because she was going to be next. But at your request, we'll call Janaki Devi Dasi, another wonderful new Braj Vasi, and her whole family, always coming and doing so much seva.
I'm so touched. Atul and Muna, you these offerings, because in a lot of ways I see so much lacking myself. I want to offer pranams to my spiritual masters, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sri Gurudev Goswami, and also unlimited pranams to Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami, and of course my Siksha Guru and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. There are so many things to say about Srila Gurudev. His glories are unlimited. We could spend days and days, and everybody's heart is so full of memories and of things that he said to touch our heart. But there were some specific things that I wanted to say, and I always have brain farts when I'm asked, and I'm always very ill prepared because I want to do so many other sevas and stuff. So I did write a couple things down. And I guess the first thing that I should say is that start from the beginning. New Braj. Why did Gurudev come here? He said that he came here because he heard hearts crying. Oh. But if we look at the history in Braj,
the devotees have been here for 50 years, Three Rivers, New Braj. It started with Bhaktivedanta Village and the Gurukul, and devotees coming up, businesses happening, and so on. So there were devotees that actually knew Srila Gurudev and had met him in Vrindavan and Mathura, and those devotees brought Srila Gurudev here. So Tirtha, Shamala, Kalimba, and Padmanabha Maharaj. That first year. Prankishore, yeah, I can't forget them. Yeah, they didn't live here till after Gurudev had come, though. They brought
Braj the first.
Yeah. So this is our fortune too. We have to remember that it wouldn't have happened, because Gurudev wouldn't have known. So just and also Gurudev coming again and again. Why? Because his main purpose of preaching was obviously he had promised that he would, till his last breath, preach around the world and inspire, especially Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj disciples. This was very important to him. He was always so happy to inspire everybody, but had a special relationship with the Prabhupada disciples because he saw, after Prabhupada left, everybody giving up orange cloth, everybody not being inspired, and he wanted, if he had the opportunity in ISKCON, they would have accepted him. He could have inspired everybody, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But fortunately for us, we got more because of that.
The whole world.
Yes. And Gurudev, he continued on with the mission of Mahaprabhu, spreading it everywhere like fire. There are places like China. Prabhupada was never able to go into China because China was completely closed down. They were communists. They were not what they are today at all. And he sent Tamal and some other devotees there for preaching, but he never got to go. Gurudev got, because it didn't open up till 78 officially. Gurudev went there and sent so many preachers and inspired so many of the Chinese devotees. And these devotees are so sincere. They would spend a year saving up money, selling vegetables on the side of the road just to come to Kartik, because communism, as we all know, is atheism. And this is very dangerous for our society, and these people are oppressed, but they're taking on Srila Gurudev's mission. Hold on, I have one more thing. I want Okay, yeah. So a lot of us in ISKCON, growing up in ISKCON, we eat, chant, and go back to Godhead. And that is all true. It is all true. But Gurudev clarified the process. What is bhakti? Ani Vilashat Sunyam, and made sure that everybody knew it's continuous stream without karma or gyan. And that's, what pure love of God is. And then clarifying what is our process? How do we surrender? You know, from Shraddha, we have to have faith, then we have to have sadhu sangha and hearing, and then anartha nivritti. Well, you know, we can worship the deities and we can do as much seva as possible and accumulate sakriti, but the fact of the matter is, we are drowning, all of us, myself. I am full of anarthas, I'm full of offenses, and I am not going anywhere without the association of our senior Vaishnavas and of Gurudev. This is the only way forward. You know, I've been a devotee my whole life. You know, my mother, she took prasad in the womb. I got Srila Maharaj's blessings at 7 years old. I got Gurudev's blessings. How many people? But still, I am stuck with my own stuff. You know what I mean? I met Gurudev when I was 16. You know, but I had never, to this day, I'm still struggling with surrender. So, okay. And also, Gurudev, through that process of, you know, what this is how to get there, and I employ everybody, read, Madhurya Kadambini. It's out, you know. I actually was personally at a Kartik where Gurudev just spent the whole time with Madhurya Kadambini. It goes into every little detail, Shraddha, and all, you know, how the anarthas, you know what I mean, go away, and what we need to be focusing on. It's so essential to study. And yeah, so ultimately, the ultimate goal, he also clarified, and he always said it: know your goal, know where you're going, do everything with a mood. If we just bow down, but we have no mood toward it, it's like, you know, blankness, Mayavadism in some way. We have to have a mood, we have to have a relationship with, you know, our Ishtadev. And so many times Gurudev clarified, what's our aim and object? You know, Krishna praying, Radha Dasyam. This is our aim and object of life, and we didn't get that elsewhere. As far as, you know, in the beginning, you know, because this is kind of a school, Bhaktivedanta, and other various acharyas, and Gurudev. A lot of times things just went straight over our heads because, you know, it's like, for me, I was just a little girl and stuff. So I did pick up some things, but like I said, anyways, okay, I need to. Okay. All right. Gurudev inspired a lot of people wherever he went. And a lot, he was a heart melter. He had this way of just looking through you and just melting your whole being. Like he could see past, present, and future. And you were just mesmerized. And wherever he went, he brought so much love and affection for everybody. And that everybody was attracted to him and this family that that he created, you know. And he is very much here in New Braj through all of you, because he's implanted in all of our hearts. And we have to continue on associating with each other to free ourselves from anarthas and, you know, aparad. And always he emphasized that the juniors should serve the seniors. This is important, that we shouldn't write off the older devotees. And last but not least, I want to just touch a little bit on what I've heard about from Gurudev and Gurudev's humility. Somebody recently posted something, Ramananda from England posted something online about Srila Gurudev and Bhakti Balavatirtha Maharaj. And in it, he said, Bhakti Balavatirtha Maharaj was asking Gurudev for his foot test, right? That he wanted his foot test. And Gurudev said, I will go to hell to serve the Vaishnavas. No problem. And so many times Gurudev would talk. One Kartik, I was remembering how he had said that, his birthplace was the birthplace of Jarasandha, the demon. And anyways, I'm praying to all the Vaishnavas and to Gurudev that please take these barriers outside of my heart. My anarthas, my fences, and give me a drop of your mercy. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Didi. Very good. You are a natural born preacher. You have to come and give class. Following in the footsteps of Padmanabha Prabhu.
I just wanted to say one small thing about Gurudev. I'm saying that they didn't really listen, but actually, now that I think about it, I remember every time that I would have a question or some doubt or something, Gurudev would answer them in class. Like he was speaking only to you, and he would answer your questions and take away your doubts. It was amazing. Like the class was for you, and it was just Gurudev was so powerful.
Oh, that's awesome. Can everybody raise their hand that had a similar experience? Very good. Thank you for bringing that up, Lord. Very nice.
I even had a guest once that I took to Vrindavan the last year that Srila Gurudev was alive, 2010, and she was way in the back when they took Srila Gurudev on a wheelchair. And she said to me, like, oh my God, he's talking to me. This is a guest. She's not even a devotee. And she was so struck by that feeling, how we were way in the back, and she felt that Gurudev was talking to her.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Ramananda, dear Ramananda Prabhu, now your turn. Ramananda Prabhu and his family have been here a long time, very dedicated Sevites and new Brajvasis.
Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Iti Namane. Please accept my dandavats, pranams, Srila Gurudev and all Vaishnavas present, especially Param Gurudev and the Guru Parampara. In only my limited capacity to give dandavats, I have no unlimited anything. Dandavats Maharaj and Nandagopal, Mataji's, my friends, especially Nitya Prabhu has been my friend from the beginning, inviting me here and helping me to integrate daily. Thank you to my wife, Leela, for forcing me to come here to have Hamza in Nandagopal's house. Giriraj Govardhan. I'm very thankful to be here and to participate in all activities of seva as the lowest member on the team. I don't come and cook in the kitchen very much or anything, but I would like to one day feel qualified. I just work all the time and try to follow my Srila Gurudev's orders, which I've heard is the most important thing. He told me to get married, and then later on you can be brahmachari after marriage. I asked him, what should I do? You get married. He's like, no, I want brahmachari. But he knows our hearts. He knew my heart. He knew that I have lust and all these problems. But slowly, he's working on my anarthas here. It's been very fortunate to live here. I try to tell my friends, Atul, and different people that I talk with how important it is to spend time more up here. So I'm inviting, come up. And he's like, you don't have to tell me, I'm coming, I want to come up there. I know you know, but I'm still telling the glories of this holy tirtha, slowly purifying my heart. And I just wanted to speak about a few of your offerings have been just so beautiful. I especially love KK's offering. She's just so conscious of coming prepared ahead of time, which I envy that. I never prepare anything. I feel so bad because of that. She's so smart and has so much motivation to properly glorify. Madhu's offering was so beautiful. I've been watching his advancement over the years, from starting to learn how to play mridanga and just becoming advanced. Radhika, your offering was so beautiful. This holding, just feeling this. Gurudev has us in his womb. We can't see him, but he's holding us so close in the darkness of his deep inner place in himself, and that just rung so true to me. All of your offerings have helped me out so much, and why it's so important that we share. I didn't want to share so much because I feel so problematic. I woke up this morning, I don't know if you can see, I have this red blood from my eye. It doesn't hurt at all, actually. It was just something from me rubbing my eye last night when I was working. I was up late. No, I wish. I wish.
We all wish.
But it was raining last night. I don't know if you heard it. I was up at 2 a.m. actually, and it was raining. I was like, oh, Srila Gurudev's mercy, and I was like, oh, this feels so nice. And of course, it's just raining right now so much, and I want to speak on a couple of Srila Gurudev's glories. One of the things that was already in my consciousness before I was speaking with Manjari last night outside, I walked up and I said, oh, hello, and she's like, who's that? And I was like, oh, it's me. And she said, oh, happy. I'm like, not so happy, but okay. But she's like, she's like, I remember this thing Gurudev said to us. He said to me, are you happy?
Everyone.
And I was like, listening, and she's like, this has a deeper meaning. There's something so much deeper than just, are you happy? And as I understood what she said was that he was actually saying, and as I've heard a few of the offerings, like Padmanabha is saying, he's doing things here, but there's all this other stuff, there's all these lessons and deep, integrated healing going on and perspectives and so what she said was actually, he was asking me, are you tasting? And I was like, wow, yeah, that's it. That's what he brings. That's the essence of everything actually that he's offering us. Are you tasting? Are you tasting what I'm giving you? Are you tasting what my Gurudev has given me and what his Gurudev gave to him? Back to Krishna. Because actually what is he's saying, in my heart is Krishna giving you opportunity for tasting. And that's what stole all of our hearts and brought us to the festival every year and wanted to follow Srila Gurudev, and when we fell in love with him, it's because we could taste Krishna, we could taste Radhe, and the love between them, because he actually had this. He was actually holding this. And this I can hands down say is his greatest glory. His greatest glory is that he actually had Krishna and Radha. And I got to see this a couple of times where he would go out of consciousness and he was coming back to consciousness and just full tears, just, oh my God, you don't understand where I just was. And even the last time I saw him in Delhi, Mahat, before going to Puri, they opened up the thing and he just come out of sleeping or in his internal state, and he was crying, and it was like, oh my, it was so real. And this quality that you just spoke about, where he would say things, Gurbani, that spoke to you. He did that to me immediately, the first time giving Hari Katha. I walked in, he was speaking exactly what I had wanted to know. Are you real? Are you the real thing? Because I'm hearing all these things, but like, that made it so real, that personal connection. And he just had that way of just dialing in. I remember hearing lots of stories about the guru that I grew up with in my community in Tennessee, Stephen. He would do the same thing. And a lot of people would say, I mean, hundreds of people would say it, thousands around the world would say it too. They were like, oh man, Stephen, when he would talk, he would say things right to you. And until he fell and he abused his power and became, just like a guy again. And he was just that uncle guy. And I never saw him as guru. I never trusted him. But Gurudev I could trust. There was something about him that I sized him up, and I've been so stubborn, but like, I think we all, from the Western world especially, we have to size somebody up. We can't just surrender to somebody. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get enslaved by some dude? No. But Gurudev was like this ultimate trustworthy person. I mean, I looked at everything. Okay, is he gonna fall later on and then like hurt me and hurt my heart and like, no, there was nothing. I didn't even think about it that long. It was like, this person is like situated in the most solid space of just complete surrender to the Lord. He has the Lord. He is the Lord, one and the same. he would say things to me sometimes, and I didn't get it at first. I mean, I would kind of get it, but then it would take months to really realize. And then he would reveal internally the lessons involved. 10 minutes already?
More.
Okay. More, okay.
You could just wind it down, that'd be good. Thank you.
Anyway, everybody could do this for months, I think, talking about the glories of Srila Gurudev. I just wanted to offer a couple of things and to say I appreciate you all, and I may not always show it, but I am making some advancement by your association, and then I pray that my qualities of, wishing for pratishta or whatever things will gradually fade, and that I can come to a place of tasting every day and having Gurudev closer to me than my breath. May he take away my boredom, and I'm never bored of chanting though. That's the thing. I don't know if anybody's ever bored of it. Doesn't get boring. I feel like it's so real, and of course I bored sometimes. But if something's real, it doesn't get boring to me. If it's got that energy to it, and I just pray that I can come to a place of chanting Shuddhanam and no longer Namabhas. And I pray that Srila Gurudev can shower his blessings upon me in my life and help me to do something that is successful in his honor, and that I can not try to think of all the grandiose things I could do for seva and all that stuff, but just try to take one little step and do some seva in a real manner. And I apologize for my problems and for being stubborn, Srila Gurudev. You've given me so much, so thank you.
Thank you, Ramananda Prabhu. Very good point also is that we could just go on and forever. And then once everybody spoke, we just go back to the beginning and start over.
I thought of one more thing to say.
So we heard from Yuvati Devi Dasi. Now I see Anadi Krishna Prabhu is coming. I'd like to please call you to speak to words glorifying Srila Gurudev. Very happy to have this wonderful family here in New Braj.
Om Gyan Timirandasya Giranjana Shalakaya Chakshru Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Bhaktya Vina Parada Lakshai Triptas Chakamaditaram Kimadye Kripa Maitvam Sharana Prapalna Rinde Namaste Charana Ravindam. I'd like to offer my unlimited obeisances to Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupada Stotra Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Swami Maharaj, and all the Guru Parampara, all spiritual teachers, and all the assembled devotees. So where to start? From a perspective of one of New Braj's newest and most fallen and most junior residents, I don't have much to offer in terms of the glorifications of Srila Gurudev's pastimes or things like this, because I never really had a chance to meet Srila Gurudev in person. But what I can offer is a perspective of how glorious this personality is, even to somebody who's never had an opportunity to meet him. And for me, Srila Gurudev always comes in the moments when I'm truly sincere and truly needing something. Just whatever is needed, it comes. He comes through the devotees, you know, and that's my sole association with Srila Gurudev, is through his teachings and through his disciples and all these devotees. So from that mood alone, I just feel so much warmth and embrace and welcoming environment and favorable mood whenever, you know, if ever I want to endeavor towards whatever the next stage is in my advancement, it's there fully. Whatever, if I'm ready to take advantage of it. And I think from what I've been gathering, that is Srila Gurudev's mood. It's like he's coming from this position where he understands where we're coming from. He's lived Grihastha life, and he said, you know, as Shivu said yesterday, he has a warning, he has a fire. And if you're ready to step out of that fire, you know, and I just want to help in whatever way, and not to push. Okay, you want to jump in the fire, and I'll still support you. And yeah, so I met Srila Gurudev's devotees when I was just sincerely searching just for a path. That's all. That's just the simplest intention. I didn't even know what that meant. Just the path. And before I know it, you know, the path is just in my living room, literally. They come to my house, you know. They say, come with us. You want a path? This is the path. And I feel it, you know. I felt it so strong. I had to keep associating with these devotees. I immediately came up to New Braj Festival, and here I was like, wow, the mood here is, this is what, you know, this is what material existence should be. It should be a warm community vibe that is favorable for spiritual topics and advancement, and all the material needs are met, maybe not in the way that you initially wanted, but they're met, you know. And so yeah, through just the sincere praying for a path, it was given to me. And then, you know, over the years, I've kind of, just through my ignorance and through my anartas, I'm not really taking full advantage of everything that's in that path. I'm just kind of floating, kind of maybe a little progression, then a little back, and then a little bit advancement, then a little back. And because there's no sincerity, no looking for the next thing. And then as soon as sincerity comes for the next step, you know, I'm having trouble cultivating a spiritual greed to advance for myself in this moment, in this stage I'm at. I have a hard time doing the activities that are for me, for my own advancement. But as glorious as Srila Gurudev is, everything is there for the stage I'm at right now, which is seva. There's so much seva opportunities, and that is something I can do to get outside of my own self and still continue to get advancement, still continue to, you know, so many things are illuminated just through seva and just through saying yes to these opportunities. And you know, the next stage is to try to work on cultivating some of that greed and try to figure out how to start taking some of these gifts and some of these jewels that Srila Gurudev wanted us to have, begging us to have, just like Nityananda and Chaitanya, just going door to door, please take these gifts, take these jewels. You guys do not know what you're missing. And we're just like pigs in the gutter, you know, like just wallowing around in this filth, and we don't even realize that it could be better than this. And somebody tries to pull you out. No, I like the mud, I like the filth, I want to be here. You know, because we haven't tasted, I haven't at least, tasted just a little bit, you know, but not enough to change those ways. So, yeah, I guess my point is that Srila Gurudev's mercy is so powerful and so much Shakti that even from somebody as seemingly removed as I am, you know, never having his actual association, but I feel it every day, and I'm every day reminded, and having, if the opportunity I'm ready to take, it's there. If I'm wanting more advancement, it's there. There's a whole infrastructure laid out that if you're just ready to get on Srila Gurudev's boat, you don't have to float anymore. You don't have to be drifting. You can just be on this boat. This boat is going to a good place, you know? But sometimes we want to swim and float, and that's okay too, because the boat's always there. That's the beauty, is whatever stage. That's what I feel. And I'm trying to get on the boat. I'm trying to just, you know, I feel like I'm maybe grabbing a little rope and I'm kind of dragging behind a little bit here and there, you know, bumping on some rocks maybe, I don't know, but if I can just climb onto that rope, onto that boat, and be, you know, and you guys are, everyone here, all this community is, you know, that's the rope I'm holding right now. You guys are literally my lifeline to Srila Gurudev. And so I'm really grateful for how welcoming this community has been for my family and myself, and Srila Gurudev's mercy expressed through all of you. So, Dhanvats, and all glories to Sri Gurudev.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru. Yes, more. Yes. Thank you. We're all so happy that you're here, and we thank everyone for all the beautiful offerings today and every day. This is really amazing, and I still really like what you said, Raman, and I'm envisioning, okay, it's just like the wheel turning. We'll just start over, and everyone has so much more to say. We could do it over and over and over again, and it would never be enough. Srila Gurudev, just as they say, Ananta Shesha, with all of his hoods and tongues, he can't glorify all of Krishna's pastimes. In the same way, Srila Gurudev's glories are unlimited, and it's good though to try, but we can continue, and we will. So today now we're finished, we're not finished, we're going till approximately 2 o'clock. Maharaj now, we're very happy Srimad Padmanabha Maharaj will speak and glorify Srila Gurudev. We are so happy to hear from him. And then again tonight, we'll meet again, so all of the few that are left that have not spoken, we'll ask you tonight to speak. So please come for the evening session. You boys will come. We want to hear from you also. Okay. Hare Krishna.
You got a trick on top of that.
There's going to be really special prasad tonight.
And you won't be asked to
Yeah. Special Mahaprasad with your name on it.
This tape was supposed to stop it from going. That's still going. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Kuroti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. You can open that window a little. Sure. No oxygen. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswamin
iti namane. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan iti namane. Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audaurya Madhurya Gunaishcha Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirasha Namami Tridandinam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Padabja Dritaika Hridi Chaitanya Lilamrita Sarasaram Narayanam Tam Satatam Prapadye Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupa Nuga Pravaram Vraja Rasa Rasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapannam Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pridayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tishe Namaha. Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha. Ajanulambita Bhujo Kanakavadato Samkirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Jugadharma Palo Bande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Shuruto Pangor Mama Manda Mater Gati Matsarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnagar Singhashanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prishtalibhi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambhi Vamshivata Tatakstitaha Karshan Venu Swanair Gopir Gopinata Shriyestunaha Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshai Kshiptaschaka Taranga Madhye Kripa Mai Tvam Sharanam Prapanna Brinde Numaste Charanara Vindam Brindai Tulsi Devyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Diksha Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Asto Tarasata Sri Srila, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams to all of my Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, and my Dandavat pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and all of the Vaishnavis here and across the world who are on this joyful occasion glorifying and remembering our most beloved Srila Gurudev on the anniversary of his 100th appearance day in this world. So my Dandavat pranams to all the devotees. The other day, Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Jiyo Ki Jai. The other day I happened upon the actual audio recording in 1977 of our beloved Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj sitting with our beloved Srila Prabhupada in Krishna Balaram temple in Sri Vrindavan Dham. His conversation that he had with him. There were two visits. According to the date that was on this audio, it was in October, something like October 8th, I think. And Srila Prabhupada's departure was on November 14th. So this was about a month before Srila Prabhupada departed. I was there in Vrindavan for probably the 6 weeks prior to Srila Prabhupada's going into Samadhi. And I was going into Srila Prabhupada's room every day to render the service of singing kirtan softly in the room. Srila Prabhupada wanted, while he was in his waking times, to have constant kirtan going on, especially Mahamantra. So there was a schedule that was arranged, and there was generally 2-3 devotees who would sit together on the side of the room, and with very small kartals, we would do kirtan. Usually our shift was for about something like 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, and then the next small group would come in and do kirtan. So I was present in Vrindavan during those final days of Srila Prabhupada and saw him every single day. And not only that, but the time that we were not in Vrindavan, the time that we were not in his room, we would hear from the devotees who were in Prabhupada's room of any significant development or anything that Srila Prabhupada desired to speak. So we became privy to that practically on the same day. Yeah, I can remember a few of these major days when in the guest house, which was right next to Srila Prabhupada's house, we would sit in the vestibule there, a lot of devotees, and hear from sometimes his personal servant, Harisari Prabhu, or Upendra Prabhu. We would hear some report of what Prabhupada spoke today, who came to visit Prabhupada today, like that. So I was not there present in the room when Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj came to see Srila Prabhupada. That was the first time that Prabhupada called in this audio that I'm talking about, this audio recording. It's all in Hindi, actually mostly in Bengali, with some mixture of Hindi. And you can tell from Srila Prabhupada's voice, he's nearing the end. And it was actually at that time, that Srila Prabhupada was starting to not take anything to eat or to drink, practically at all. And that went on for 2-3 days. And then this was, of course, causing very great alarm and worry to all the devotees who were personally serving Prabhupada and to all of us, that it appeared that Srila Prabhupada was preparing to leave. And this was unthinkable to us, especially at that time. You can imagine. We did not have relationships with other Vaishnava institutions at that time, or other great devotees, although they were on the planet, but Prabhupada was absolutely everything. And he was the Acharya. He was the founder of the Hare Krishna movement throughout the entire world. Our whole life and soul, every single day, every single moment of the day, was how to serve him. He was everything. We could not imagine that the movement will go on without him present. The Grand General directing all of his forces throughout the world. It was incredible. I was able to be for 7 years in the movement, from the age of 18 when I joined in 1970. I'm just turning 18. And so those 7 years were so powerful, so incredible. And we got to witness how the movement began to explode. Prior to that, there were 4 years, approximately 4 years, from the time that he registered the society in 1966 in New York. But then gradually, a few temples began to open, and even on the other side of the ocean. So it was a revolutionary period, unlike anyone has seen before in this day of Brahma. To bring this Krishna consciousness to the whole world. And Srila Prabhupada was the one doing it. Even Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj verified and proclaimed that actually he's Shaktivesh avatar. No one could say such a thing about any Vaishnava. Who has the authority to make such a statement that such and such personality is a Shakti Avesh avatar of Bhagavan? Of Bhagavan's Shakti. And when did he tell this? He told this when, after Prabhupada departed from the world, they brought to Srila Sridhar Maharaj the prayer that Srila Prabhupada wrote on the Jaladuta. You've all heard that before. and he's praying to Krishna. He's praying to Krishna in that prayer. A very intimate, very deep, deep, deep prayer. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, at that time, reading it and hearing the Bengali, and he stated how he came all alone on the ship, and how he prayed to Krishna, making himself empty of any other desire. So much so that divine power had to descend. Therefore I declare him to be Shakti Avesh Avatar. It cannot but be. And we see by his preaching activities how he went to the lowest. One of his disciples, senior disciple, who was there, I think it was Sripad Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj, he asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj, "O Guru Maharaj, which Shakti?" And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj told, "Nityananda Shakti." Then he said, how Nityananda's preaching mood was in him. Nityananda went to the lowest. Nityananda did not discriminate at all. Nityananda saved everyone. He was the greatest distributor of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And we see how Swami Maharaj's activities were like that. See? So, that personality, who for 12 years traveled the length and breadth of the world in his final days, was now lying here in Vrindavan. And it was becoming clear to all of us that probably that fateful moment is about to come. Of course, devotees had advanced to some degree. And there was so much dedication to Srila Prabhupada, and everyone was very clear that Prabhupada, he wanted this movement to continue and to spread everywhere even more. And he had told this even years before. I am old man. I have already crossed 80 something, I forget exactly. But Prabhupada was already past 70 years of age, coming into his mid-70s, and he would tell the devotees that I can leave at any moment. I'm old man. I can leave at any time. And there were times during that 12 years where he became ill, where we were very worried. I remember in New York Temple, Brooklyn Temple, we were praying and chanting all night through because Prabhupada was undergoing some very heavy illness. And we could not imagine that Prabhupada would leave. But Prabhupada told us, pray to Lord Nrsingadev. And we were praying like anything to Lord Nrsingadev and chanting his kirtan. And please allow our Guru Maharaj to stay here in this world. And then Prabhupada again recovered and began to vigorously preach. And then there was another period, and again same thing, and then he again recovered. And I can remember seeing Srila Prabhupada personally because I went in 1977 for the Gaur Purnima festival in Mayapur, and Prabhupada was there. And all hundreds and hundreds of Western devotees flew in for that festival. And he appeared to be quite okay. But then, gradually, through that continuation of that year, then Srila Prabhupada began to show the symptoms of decline, serious decline. So, Srila Prabhupada, he was desiring that his movement should continue. He was also asked by his senior devotees in those final days, is there anyone that you can recommend to us to go to after you leave this world? Go to for guidance. And then he told, yes, my god brother, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. And who did he call? Who did Prabhupada call to come to meet him? This very special friend of his, very intimate associate. We had no idea at all what was his relation, what was the history, nothing. We had zero information about this personality. Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, or even Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but Prabhupada made some mention of him in a few different contexts, that he's the only one that can continue the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are only two people on the planet, myself and Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj in the English language who can continue that. And at the very end, he told his disciples, you go to my godbrother Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. So he gave indications. There were such personalities present. With Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, he personally called him. And we have that recording. You have to hear it with your own ears. Even though we have a translation. I wasn't reading the translation when I was listening to it. I was just listening. And how, what kind of bhavs, what kind of moods. Gurudev had already also brought along with him this wonderful, wonderful Kirtaniya who was his godbrother, Sheshai Brahmachari, who's now passed away. He sang, and Gurudev also sang, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, on that recording, in the presence of Prabhupada. And how Gurudev was telling to Srila Prabhupada that you've done everything. You've accomplished everything. You've also trained your disciples. They are qualified. This mission will continue. Now you should take your thought processes away from your society, because Prabhupada kept on expressing concern. And Gurudev kept on urging him, now you just remember Radha Govinda. Don't worry. Gurudev was assuring him, don't worry. And in that meeting, I don't know if it was that meeting or the next one, which was a few days before Prabhupada departed, then Gurudev told us the story many times. Swamiji called me to his bedside, and he wanted me to sit on his bed, right next to him. But I deferred. I should sit next to you on a chair. You were my guru. Should not sit on the same level like that, even though so intimate. And in that conversation, Srila Prabhupada requested, actually it's in the audio, that he wanted that any of his godbrothers who were present in Vrindavan, he asked Srila Narayan Maharaj, are there any of my godbrothers, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada's disciples? And Gurudev mentioned only two. He said, I don't know of any other. Prabhupada wanted him to call them, and Gurudev called them to come to his room. And Gurudev told to Narayan Maharaj that he wanted to apologize. He wanted to beg them for forgiveness for if he had committed any offenses. And Prabhupada was feeling that sometimes he had spoken against his godbrothers in a certain way, and, but Gurudev, when he heard Prabhupada saying that, he says, no, you have not done anything wrong. You have not done anything wrong. We understand why you told like that. Because your disciples were so young, and they could not understand. So therefore you kept them close and near to you. And don't go here, don't go there. We also do the same thing, Gurudev said, with our disciples. You have not done anything wrong. But Prabhupada, no, but I should not have. spoken in this way. So when those two godbrothers of his came, Prabhupada directly apologized. He sat up in his bed, actually, and apologized to them. And they were saying, oh, we don't see that you have committed any offense like this. So Gurudev executed that instruction. And Prabhupada gave him complete instructions that he should explain to the senior disciples of Prabhupada how to do the Samadhi burial. Topmost seva for an acharya leaving this world is to perform that ritual ceremony of our acharyas and place him into Samadhi. You can read Gurudev's lecture about what is the meaning of Samadhi. Samadhi. How he is now attaining the same level as his Ishtadeva. Samadhi. So, then Narayana Gurudev told, they have come to me, I have explained everything in detail. He reassured Prabhupada, yes. And Prabhupada said, I want that you will do with your own hands. And then Prabhupada said to Srila Narayana Maharaj, I brought so many disciples from the West. I tried my best to train them, to teach them. To some extent, they have been trained, but yet they require more. So I want that you will help my disciples. And then Srila Narayana Maharaj, he told us, when Swamiji requested me like that, I was thinking at the time, because Gurudev had seen these senior disciples for many years with Prabhupada. And he saw what incredible service was done by the disciples of Prabhupada to build this Hare Krishna movement the whole world over. And he considered them, he told this later on, Gurudev told to us, he considered that they were strong like thunderbolts. And he thought to himself, Gurudev was thinking, how can I help them? They have such Guru Nishta. They are so strong. How can I help them? That's what Gurudev was thinking. And Gurudev said that when Prabhupada requested him that, to help his disciples, he hesitated. He said, I hesitated at that time. Because this is a request of such a personality that you cannot fail to fulfill. And Gurudev knew what extreme importance. So he hesitated. And he explained, like I just said. Years later, he said, why did he hesitate? Because of that. And then Gurudev said, then Swamiji took my hands in his hands. And he said, you please give me your word. Yes. And then Gurudev gave his word. He said, I will always help them. Whenever they will come to me, I will help them to the best of my ability until my last breath. So that is why Srila Gurudev, after Guru Prabhupada's departure from this world, after some years, many leaders started to come to him. Gurudev gave wholeheartedly, without any restriction, so much Katha, so much instruction, 6 years. We have recordings, how he helped ISKCON leaders, and they also appreciated. They even performed Guru Puja to him. And he was not doing this for any other reason. They had, even because neophyte, very dark-hearted sometimes, they have suspicion about a pure devotee who has no other motivation. And they thought, when in the early 90s, Gurudev told us this story, when in the early 90s, after Prabhupada had departed, there was a court case started in Bombay. And it was from the son of Srila Prabhupada, who was trying to put forward that this ISKCON movement was my father's business. My father was a businessman, and he started this international business called ISKCON. And so I am his heir to this business. He was actually challenging and trying to take all the assets of ISKCON, right? And so there was a problem because they needed someone to come and testify who was there when Prabhupada took sannyas. Because according to Indian law, a sannyasi has no possessions. And whatever he possessed before he took sannyas, he's now officially, how do they call that? A dead person. What?
Civilly dead.
Yes, civilly dead person. He's died. He's not living anymore. I mean, Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, at the end, Gaura Govinda Maharaj had 6 children and his wife, and he had already left and come to Prabhupada and then taken sannyas. And there, because he was a school teacher, because he was a headmaster, so there was a pension that was due for him. And all he had to do was just sign on a piece of paper, and then his family could have that for their support. And Gaura Govinda Maharaj, that person is dead. This is real sannyas. No more attachment. No more connection. Only on the soul level. On the level of the Atma. So, Srila Prabhupada, what was that? I forgot that.
Court case.
The court case, yes. So Srila Gurudev was asked by the ISKCON leaders, please come to Bombay. You are the one who was the priest who performed the sannyas ceremony. We need you to testify in court. Otherwise we may lose this and all of ISKCON will be lost. Gurudev came there. And you know what they told him before Gurudev came? They said, and if you do that for us, oh Maharaj, we'll bring you all over the world and show you our centers. Like some kind of business deal. Like he's a businessman. Huh? And Gurudev told them, it was like an insult. Huh? I will come there and I will not come for any other reason than to serve my Priya Bandhu, my Siksha Guru. No other reason. I don't want anything else. And Gurudev came and testified. And even during that time, his health was not good. And he fell ill during that time. So every step of the way, this personality, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, was the supreme friend and well-wisher of Prabhupada, of all of his followers, of the society that he had started. But he was relatively unknown. Even there was a personality who was coming to him, one of the ISKCON leaders, who dared to say, oh yeah, he's just a village guru. Just a village guru. So, Srila Gurudev was helping all of the ISKCON leaders. It's a long story, which we're not going to tell now, obviously. But later on, they rejected him. As they had rejected Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, double Maha Vaishnav Aparad, which if Srila Prabhupada were present, he would have smashed them so heavy. But anyway, Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, after that, Krishna arranged, okay, you're not going to receive him in this big international society. with honor and respect and enable him to serve Prabhupada. So therefore, and Krishna arranged this, I will bring him to every single country and continent on this planet. And he will initiate tens of thousands of Vaishnavas, and he will bring what everyone needs to hear at this stage of their journey in Krishna consciousness. He will bring the Katha of Braj, because he's a Braj Rasik Vaishnava. And Prabhupada knew this. And Prabhupada knew that he would be the one that would bring this to the whole world. So Gurudev set off on his first airplane journey across the oceans, came to Europe, and charmed everyone's heart. Even some were sent as spies by ISKCON leaders like our Ashram Maharaj. And he became converted. Yes. And then Gurudev came to Texas and visited the ISKCON temple, and they were very, very, I wasn't there, but they also restricted Gurudev. And then Gurudev came here to LA. And prior to Gurudev coming to LA, I was there in LA, and there was a sign posted, oh, Hridayananda Maharaj is going to give a very, very important class. Whole community has to come. This was 1 week before Gurudev arrived. And then he indoctrinated everyone that this person's coming. And yes, he was like a friend to Prabhupada, but don't look at him and don't associate with him. And we're going to invite him to our temple. But they were trying to invite him at a time when no one's there in the temple room. In the midday, Boga Artik. But Gurudev kept insisting in the first week. Budara Prabhu was doing the communications. We were down in Fullerton. And they kept on insisting that he should come at noontime, and we want to offer him a garland and Mahaprasadam and like this, right? And do our, token respect. But then finally Gurudev said, no, I am coming tomorrow. I want to come in the morning when Swamiji is worshipped on his Vyasasan, along with all the other Vaishnavas. I want to worship him. And then Budara communicated this, and then the person named Badri Narayan on the other end, and I'm mentioning names because I want to. On the other end, he said, but, no, he's coming tomorrow, that's it, bus. Hung up the phone. Next day, our caravan of vehicles, with at least 30, 40 devotees who had flown in from Europe and places. We all came up the freeway and came in front of Watsika and parked the car. And there they were, standing at the doorway, not coming out to greet him on the curb, Hridayananda, but the other person, starts with a B, I just said. He came out and ushered Gurudev out of the car to there. And this was just minutes prior to the curtains opening for the greeting of the deities, and then after the greeting of the deities would be the Guru Puja. So then we came into the temple room, and then we waited, and they brought him up, the Gurudev up to the front, and then the curtains opened, and Govindam Madi Purusham, and Gurudev paid his obeisances to the 3 altars. And then they gave him a garland to put on Srila Prabhupada's murti on the Vyasasan, and Gurudev garlanded. And then Guru Puja began, and I think it was Suradas, he was leading the Guru Puja. And Gurudev was just humbly standing there. And during that Guru Puja, I got a tap on my shoulder from this Badri Narayan. And he said, we were wondering if after the Guru Puja, if Narayan Maharaj would like to stay and listen to the class that Hridayananda Maharaj is going to give, or if he would like to go upstairs during that time and visit Srila Prabhupada's personal quarters. And I just looked at him and I said, yeah, he wants to see his quarters. So then, during the kirtan, then we walked to the doorway on the right side that goes up the stairs to Srila Prabhupada's quarters. And they had arranged for one sannyasi who was supposed to make sure that Narayan Maharaj does not sit down and begin talking to anyone in Prabhupada's quarters. So he was brought up there, and then Gurudev was very, very eager to see. I mean, this is the address. What is it, 26 something? 3764 Watsika. Gurudev had sent many things there to that address. And he knew this is Prabhupada's world headquarters. So then, as Gurudev was walking, they had a glass case with the 3 volumes of the Srimad Bhagavatam that were actually printed in India, that Prabhupada printed, his first Bhagavatams. And then Gurudev saw them, he said, oh, these are the ones that I sent to Swamiji. And then he began to talk a little bit, right? And the sannyasi standing there, Rohini Kumar or something like that. Then anyway, they were distracting him, dissuading him. Then after that, seeing the quarters, then Gurudev came down the stairs. And again, we entered into the temple room. So when we entered into the temple room, like 40 devotees, and we came, and then Gurudev, we followed Gurudev, and Gurudev stood there in the center of the temple room. And he was wondering, well, are they going to escort me or what? And Hridayananda sitting on this smaller Vyasasana next to Prabhupada's, he's already giving class. And so Narayan Maharaj is wondering, are they going to escort me at least, you know? And then Gurudev could understand, oh, they're not going to. You know what Gurudev did? He stood there in the middle of the temple room. You were there? No. He stood there in the middle of the temple room, and he humbly folded his palms, and in such a humble voice, he said, I thank you very much that you have invited me to come here and to worship Swamiji along with you. Please accept my Dandavat pranams. And Gurudev bowed down. All of us bowed down, and Hridayananda did not get off of the Vyasasana. Okay? The next Romaharshan Sutta. Then Gurudev was escorted out of the temple room by Bajranarayan. And Gurudev, we all came out. Gurudev got into the car in the passenger seat. And suddenly this devotee, I'm forgetting his name, you all know him. He was from Cuba or... Anyway, he was in Vrindavan as the temple president, a Prabhupada disciple. Who? Yes, Kritakarma. He came up. He was wearing saffron at that time. And he knew Gurudev. And he reminded Gurudev, oh, Maharaj, I was the temple president during these years in Vrindavan. He spoke a little Hindi also. And then Gurudev immediately began to perk up, and he was beaming. And then he said, oh, Maharaj, you know that Prabhupada's garden where he used to sit and do his bhajan and meet with many people is just around here, and I'm in charge of his garden right now, the upkeep of it. Would you like to see that? And then Gurudev came. He said, yes. He got out of the car, and we all walked there, and we went to the back. And then Kritakarma, and of course Badri was tagging along to make sure, right? So then we came there, and there's a fountain in the middle, and there were some of these, like, you know, Chinese orange-colored fish inside of the fountain. And so Kritakarma was starting to tell the story of how Prabhupada was here, and he met with so many important people, and he preached and everything. And you know what Gurudev said at that time? He says, now I am feeling that Swamiji is here. And he is greeting his old friend, Narayan Maharaj. I did not feel that he was present there. And then Kritakarma told me later that during that time, as he was speaking to Gurudev, he tapped him on the shoulder like this. Don't talk so much with him. That was the insult that ended his relationship with that temple. And later he moved up to the Bay Area. You know him from that time. And he did very nice service for Gurudev before he left this world, you see. So then Gurudev came back. He got into the car. We drove down to Venice Beach, where Gurudev always wanted to see, where Prabhupada used to go for his morning walks. And we walked out onto the sand. This is still early morning, like 9 o'clock, something, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And then Gurudev, we had kirtan, and we began to circumambulate Srila Gurudev. And then Gurudev sat down on the sand, and then he says, yes, just across this Pacific Ocean is Jagannath Puri. And then Gurudev began to speak such nectar Katha about Mahaprabhu's Leela in Jagannath Puri. So that was Gurudev's first visit, and that tour, and the next couple of years even, Gurudev had to withstand so much abusive insults and aparats from the ISKCON leaders, and who indoctrinated the ISKCON devotees, and they also committed offenses. Huh? But what did Gurudev say? You heard another person told? Just like if you have your baby brother on your lap and he passes stool, you're not going to be angry against him. So Gurudev told like that. I'm winding it up, don't worry. So Gurudev, there are so many pastimes, so many amazing pastimes of Srila Gurudev. How he tolerated. He even told us, he says, don't become angry against them. You cannot tolerate this, but I can tolerate. Huh? We had to live with that. I also had to live with that in the early 80s with my other Siksha Guru. So Gurudev came to do what? I'm going to read you his words. Gurudev was in Mauritius in his final year. Yashodanandan Prabhu from England was interviewing Gurudev. He wanted to get Srila Gurudev's own words, that what is his vision? What is the vision that Gurudev has for the International Pure Bhakti Yoga Society? Because it was at that time that we were trying to officially establish that as the legal name of his society, International Pure Bhakti Yoga Society. And to make this official, he wanted to hear from the founder, Acharya, what is your vision of the society? This is what Gurudev told. I desire that people everywhere understand pure bhakti as practiced and preached by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Pure bhakti is also called prema bhakti. Prema bhakti is found only in the activities and the lives of our Rupanuga acharyas and nowhere else. It is the desire of our Rupanuga acharyas that the glories of Unnata Ujjvala Parakiya Bhav of the gopis, as exemplified by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, are preached throughout the world. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad established the greatness of the Parakiya Bhav of the gopis through scriptural evidence and logic. He stated that the Upapatti relationship, means paramour relationship, between ordinary men and women is disgusting, and it is a pathway to hell. Rupa Goswami established this. And in contrast, there is no fault in the Parakiya bhav of Lord Krishna's relationship with the gopis. As Parabrahma, he is himself the hero. And the gopis, who are the prakash of his Swarup Shakti, they are his spotless heroines. With this understanding, the purpose and goal of Prema Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, as practiced and preached by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is the goal and the vision for our society. Did Gurudev accomplish this while he was present with us? 15 years touring throughout the world, and 10 years before that? Did he establish this? Did he give the books that all the Vaishnavas throughout the world are going to need in order to enter into these conceptions? Did Gurudev give that? Yes. Did Prabhupada give? Yes. Gurudev always said, yes, Swamiji has given these things, but it is under lock and key. And that key is in the hands of the Rasik Vaishnavas. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sri Ramar said the same thing. This is not something cheap. This is something that if someone wants this and gets these impressions, they will do anything in this life to achieve that. Gurudev came to give these impressions, but it is up to us to water them. If we do not water this Bhakti Lata creeper by doing what? Shravanam Kirtanam Jale, the water of hearing and chanting, every day of our life. You cannot breathe without oxygen. The Bhakti Lata cannot survive without this water. It is our main duty in our life to practice 5 activities given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sadhu Sangha, associating with pure Vaishnavas. Nam Kirtan, always chanting Harinam. In Kirtan, in Japa, in all ways. Bhagavat Shravan, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam means constantly, every day. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and that means all the expansions of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Charitamrita, the books of the Goswamis, everything. Hearing every single day. Chanting every single day. And who hearing from? Srimad Bhagavatartanam Asvado Rasikai Saha. Srila Rupa Goswami has specified, you must hear Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of who? Rasika. Rasikai Saha. You must hear the artha. You must hear the inner meanings and purports of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is only in the hearts of the Rasika Vaishnavas. That's why Gurudev came. To give Srimad Bhagavatam into everyone's heart. To give the prayers of the gopis. To give the Gopi Geet, Venu Geet, the 5 songs of the gopis. To give Ras Panchadhyay. To give the whole Leelas of Krishna in Braj, in Vrindavan, in Mathura, in Dwarka. To understand fully the Srimad Bhagavatam, because that is the incarnation of Krishna in this Kali Yuga. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna's personal rasa swarupa. And every Rasik Vaishnava can see rasa in every single verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So only from such persons will someone be able to get these impressions of Parakya Bhav, of the gopis. We have been so fortunate. All of us have been talking about how fortunate we've been that Gurudev was here with us, that Gurudev gave so much. Gurudev gave his love and affection and everything. And that is our highest good fortune. But if we don't follow his instructions, even his most basic instructions, how can we ever hope that in this life that we will achieve at least some higher level like Nishta or Ruchi? Gurudev used to say, I am simply praying to Krishna that you all can attain at least Ruchi in this life. In this life. And if not Ruchi, at least Nishta. How's that going to come if we don't practice Upadesha Amrita, given by the lotus mouth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, written by Rupa Goswami, commented on by all the acharyas? That is the process, Gurudev told. And once you have followed that, then you come to Manasiksha of Raghunath Das Goswami, and then you can come into Rag Anuga and Rup Anuga Bhakti. This is not a cheap thing. We have to become serious. Very serious. For who? For our own Atma. Because this is what we need. This is what we need. All the other things are superfluous in our life. They're all superfluous. But this is the actual purpose of our birth in this human body. And Krishna has fulfilled that purpose by bringing us to sadhu sangha. But if we don't do sadhu anugamanam, following the footsteps of the sadhus, living our life like them, restricting certain sense gratification activities, then we'll be left behind. We will be left behind. Doesn't mean permanently. No, but it'll take a long time. We have been fortunate. And if we do not honor this good fortune now, not tomorrow, not next year, not 20 years after I'm finished with my household responsibility. No, now, every day, every day. It does not matter. Householder, sannyasi, brahmachari, it doesn't matter. Bhakti. We have to do bhakti every single day and strive to chant pure Harinam. And then also living in the holy Dham. Mathuravasa. And finally, Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan. Shraddhaya Sevan. How can we say we have Shraddha if we don't even follow the basic principles? The basic principles given in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. 4 regulative principles, which will protect you against Kali. But if one doesn't follow those, then you become a Kali Chela. You become a servant of Kali. You become a disciple of Kali. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote about this. He wrote about this extensively. So we have to be very focused. We have to come onto this pathway and we have to purify ourselves, and whatever mistakes that we've already committed, that doesn't matter, because now we have to start afresh and anew and rededicating ourselves fully. Many here are very dedicated. I know that. There are many special devotees here and everywhere. Many. But if we have been slacking and we have not been really following the instructions of Guru, now on this day, on this special anniversary of Srila Gurudev, 100th anniversary, we have to make him the promise from the core of our heart that yes, I am going to follow the instructions that Srila Prabhupada gave to all of his disciples, that Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj gave, that Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj gave, Bhaktivedanta Vaman Maharaj, all of them. They've given the same instructions. But Gurudev, he gave the final completion. And we should not think, oh, that now we are becoming more Rasik because we have a Rasik Guru. Gurudev said this is not true. He says, not that I have a very high Guru, therefore I'm high. No. But if we follow him If we follow his instructions, he will be pleased. And don't think that he cannot reciprocate with you. He is fully present. He is fully present. In his instructions, Vani and Vapu, he is fully present. Gurudev sat down in Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada told all of his disciples, now come and listen to Narayan Maharaj. And they sat down there in front of Prabhupada. What did Gurudev tell them? You should not think that your Guru is now leaving. He is eternal. You should not think that he is leaving. Sadguru, he never leaves. He never leaves his disciple. He is always there in the heart of his disciple. But if the disciple puts up, Gurudev didn't say this, I'm saying this. If the disciple puts up a nice wall in his heart, then how Gurudev will help? Gurudev told, I will show you the pathway. How you have to walk on this pathway. I will show it to you. I'll point it out to you. Not only that, I'm also going to walk with you on that pathway, and even I'm going to hold your hand. But I will not carry you on my shoulders. You will have to walk on your own 2 feet. And that means growing up and becoming a real disciple. He doesn't want everyone to stay in the baby stage. He wants everyone to advance and to become very serious, especially in Harinam Bhajan and following the principles of Upadeshamrita. And this is very possible for all of us. Gurudev was not asking that everyone should suddenly become, flawless. No. But do bhakti. Because Gurudev said, even in thousands of lifetimes, your aparadhs will not go. If you just try to get rid of your aparadhs, no. Or your offenses, or your anarthas, no. He said, only by bhakti they will go. And that's Gurudev's mission, to implant that seed of bhakti. But we have to water it. So that's all I'm going to say today on this blessed day. All have come here. I'm so happy that I was here to hear all of your offerings. I benefited greatly. I benefited greatly from hearing all of your sincere offerings, and even those who feel that they're the lowest of the low and they're not even a disciple. I benefited from hearing everyone's offerings. And I hope that we can all really think deeply and do self-examination. What am I lacking? What am I not doing properly? What do I now need to do? And if we do, we cannot imagine. Gurudev said, we cannot imagine what arrangement Krishna is going to make for us, especially in our next life. But in this life, Gurudev wants us to advance, and some have those seeds. But we'll have to become very intent on doing Krishna bhajan. And then in the next life, Gurudev told, Krishna will make the arrangement, very high sadhu sangha, but also very high samskaras to take advantage of that sadhu sangha. And then finally, we can attain the stage of bhav. And once one has attained the stage of bhav, even the stage of ruchi, Gurudev told, if you attain ruchi, then you can galloping very fast. So, the stage of bhav is the perfectional stage. Gurudev said, 1 or 2 more lifetimes for many, because now you have those samskaras. So I'm offering my millions of dandavat pranams. And remembering how Srila Gurudev preached everywhere. I saw it with my own eyes. I heard it with my own ears. I saw how he helped tens of thousands of devotees, and especially Prabhupada disciples. He said, I have a special greed to help the Prabhupada disciples because Swamiji requested me to do that. So in the course of helping them, he helped the entire world. So our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, is Jagat Guru. He is the Guru of the whole world. Even he was given this title by the Pandas in Braja, not just Varshana, all of the different Pandas, their society, they said, we are giving him the title Yuga Acharya. And Gurudev said, I am not Yuga Acharya. Rupa Goswami, you can say he is Yuga Acharya or this person, but I am an Acharya in the Kali Yuga. So you can call me a Yuga Acharya. Gaur Premanandi. Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Gurudev's 100th anniversary Avirbhav Mahamahotsav Titi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Yeah, it's actually in Uchavan. Next to Varshan, the place of Lali today. Yes.
I didn't hear that. They call you no part. Special getting touched.
I told that when he was given his acceptance.
It's on the
Can you make that tripod legs longer? I'll lift so you can put it close.